Hi everyone, very good evening. I'm Dr. Preeti Sharma, and it's my honor to share the screen today with Dr. Manav Gupta, who's got an amazing rank of 14 in the INI-CET that was conducted very recently in November. So, heartiest congratulations, Dr. Manav, from the
Thank you so much,
entire
ma'am.
team of PrepLadder. And it's just been very recent, just a few minutes back, that the result has been declared. So, overall, how is the feeling and how is the atmosphere at home?
Ma'am, I'm feeling like it's unbelievable actually, and more than me, my parents are much happier than me. So it's
I'm
very.
I'm sure. So Manav, tell us something about yourself. Which college are you from? Was this your first attempt, and was this your internship year, or anything about your journey in general that you want to highlight?
I'm from Maulana Azad Medical College, Delhi. So
Okay.
I'm from 2018 batch, and my internship got over in 2024 only. But
Okay.
this was my second attempt because my first attempt was in the May, and due to the delay and all, this was my second attempt, and the NEET was also my first attempt, in which I got a rank of 111.
Okay, that's great. So, considering the turmoil that happened this year with the NEET preponement, postponement, and so many other things which all of us are aware of, let's go in a retrospective view that how did you manage after the NEET? How did you manage to get that, I would say tempo to study? Because a lot of students messaged me saying that they were unable to get back to their books after that entire NEET thing that happened. So, what was your driving force out there?
Basically, my personal plan was also not to give this INI. Like I was not ready to give this INI after the NEET because of all the burnout and stress. So what
Correct.
happened was my parents just said, "Ki yaar, you have worked hard for 5 years straight. So at least just give the exam. Just sit in it. We'll see if nothing happens. It's fine. If something happens, it's a bonus for you, right?" So like they like forced me to fill the exam, and they said, "Ki bas baith ja, don't need to study anything." But when I filled the exam, I thought like I should do something at least for.
Hmm.
So I only did some PYQs and like previous year topics, which are very important for the IN exam. After the NEET result, I was sure that like I am thorough with the theory. So what I needed to focus much on was previous year questions only.
Hmm.
So like, during this 2.5, 3 months, I did previous questions and PYQ topics, which were very helpful because I mainly focuses on PYQs only. Newer topics are very less, and even if there are newer topics, then they are new for everyone. No one is able to do it. So if you are thorough with the PYQs only, I guess you are good to go and you will get a good rank definitely.
Right.
So I
So I
mainly
think
focused on PYQs, and my like driving force was कि यार पैसे बच दिए हैं कुछ पढ़ लेते हैं. Mainly, and this is the last attempt. After this, there was nothing else. So that's.
I think the biggest driving
So
force
I
is
only did
that this
PYQs and
would be
didn't
the
study
last
for like
exam.
12 18 hours. NEET से पहले की grind थी. I was not studying for 12 18 hours. I was putting in 2 3 hours 4 hours.
Yes. So I think, sorry, there was certain lag
Yes,
in
like this is
between.
the last exam. After this, I don't have to touch the 19 subjects anymore. So I said ki just do it for this time only, and mainly I focus on PYQ. Ma'am, is it audible right now? Audible now. So yes, the it is the last exam, and after this, you don't have to like touch the 19 subjects again. So like, agar I only did PYQs only, didn't use the main notes much because I was thorough with them before the NEET only. Focused mainly on PYQs, and it definitely helped.
So this, of course, the PYQ strategy was
And
actually the
like
last one.
after the
I think there is some lag which we would need to settle. Um, Yeah. So I believe the PYQ strategy that you had was more for the last month and or I would say after NEET PG. But the fact that you could
after
only do
the
PYQs and go ahead with it was probably because you already had a very strong foundation while you were
yeah,
preparing
yeah,
for your NEET
exactly.
PG through all your MBBS years and your internship. So just walk us through in a I would say that in a way that whether you went for the main notes or the rapid revision, whether you went for printed notes or handwritten, what was the basic foundation like, and how did you approach all the 19 subjects?
Uh, I started making my notes during my third year only. I started making my notes during my third year. Initially, they were the handmade notes, but due to the COVID, I procrastinated things and I was not able to make the handmade notes. So I ordered printed notes for few of the subjects, not all. But I like to say the subjects for which I made the handmade notes were there in my mind much consolidated than the printed notes. Definitely. So I'll suggest not to use the printed notes if you are able to make your handmade notes. Otherwise, if you are fine with anything, like you can also use the printed notes. And I completed my notes, main notes, revising and all by the end of final year. So I started giving GTs in the final year only. I didn't wait for
Oh,
my 19 subjects to get over. I gave my first GT after my 7 or 8 subjects were completed, and my initial score was 110, 120, something like that. So
okay.
after that, within, like, I used to give GT every second or third week after completing a subject or two subjects, and retrospectively viewing what questions were wrong in my last attempt. So धीरे धीरे the graph went up, and I tried to cover each and every subject by the end of final year, because in the internship you also have your duties, so it's difficult to like revise whole notes at that time. So in the internship, I mainly focused on MCQs only, MCQs of all the subjects, previous year questions and previous year topics, and mainly on GTs and test and discussions. And also the rapid revision notes were also useful during the last 1.5 months of your preparation, because you'll have to revise over 19 subjects in 1.5 months, which is definitely not possible by the main notes.
Hmm.
So rapid revision notes was like a bonus at that time. Also, the LRR, which the PrepLadder exclusively conducts, is also very useful, because they conduct all the previous year topics, previous year questions in it, and also the topics which could be asked in the future. Not only the PYQs, but also the topics related to it. And especially for INI is useful, because INI mainly focuses on PYQs. So,
Correct.
like,
Also,
that
this
was my.
time, Dr. Manav, we did see a certain change in the pattern. Did you feel that the NEET PG and INI topics were somewhere overlapping, or I would say interchanged also to a great extent?
Definitely, the INI was more on the easier side than the NEET PG. NEET PG was this time more of a concept based. Like usually the NEET PG we expect कि रट्टे वाली चीजें आएंगी, one word आएगा.
Mhm.
But this time definitely it was not there. It was like out of 200 questions, 150, 60 were long stem questions, concept wale questions. Ratta wale questions are very less. And in INI, we found more Ratta wala questions this time. In the November wala INI, concept questions were less, but more or less they were based on PYQs only. Like for example, cryptococus question came in the May also, in the November
Yes.
also. The vacuum question is coming always. So like
Oh,
they
yes.
mainly focus on PYQs. But yes, the form of questions were different. NEET was much tougher this time. I don't know why. But
Agreed. Yes.
NEET focused mainly on concept this time, and INI was more of Ratta wala this time. One word
Right.
and Ratta wala.
Also, another thing, there was a champions exam that was conducted, and you, as you've told me, you have not been scared of GTs. I want to actually start from there and then take you to the champions exam. You said you completed 7 or 8 subjects and you started giving grand tests, which is a move which most students don't dare to make because they're very scared of even giving grand tests after completing all 19 subjects. So I do understand after completing 8 subjects, your score must have not been the very best of it, and you have gradually uplifted yourself and made yourself reach this level. But in the beginning, were there days when you used to look at your GT score and not feel up to mark, or you felt that
Definitely.
there is definitely a certain demotivation that comes along the way?
Definitely, like my first GT score was around 110, 120, correct, and rest of them were wrong. And my rank was around 7,000, 8,000, something like that. So, like initially, definitely, yes, it was a breakdown, but I knew I have not completed all my subjects, and what I considered, what my motto was, कि my graph should always go up, and the
Okay.
peak of the graph should reach on the day of my exam. Like that was my main motto. So every day I used to whenever I used to give GTs consequently, the score usually improved, but sometimes it also fell down. So yes, there were days when I used to feel bad कि यार अब नहीं हो रहा, I'm not able to do it anymore. But then you have to get up and then you have to see the bigger picture, right? कि उस exam का क्या, GT doesn't matter whether you get a rank or not, you'll have to learn from it. What matters is if you learn from it or not. If you don't learn from it, then it's not good. If you
Right.
learn from
Not
it,
the score,
definitely
it's
you
the
will.
analysis which is more important, right?
Right,
And
right.
after talking to you, I think knowledge is something which is in today's date easier to get because you have so many resources and platforms
Exactly,
available.
exactly.
But the mindset and having the correct mindset and temperament for this exam is so essential, which I can actually see as you're telling me your story of the entire 5 years and internship. You have been crystal clear in your approach and strategy, and still, I believe there must have been days where you were down and out. How were you,
I like to
getting
share
yourself back
one.
on track?
I like to share one thing. Like in the May INI, which was my
Mm,
first attempt. And obviously, it was my first attempt, so like I was more anxious than anyone else.
obviously, yes.
Pressure from everywhere. कि यार, मतलब everyone used to say कि तेरी तो आ जाएगी. They knew कि I used to get good ranks in GT by the end of my internship. So the pressure built up so badly that I messed up. इतना मतलब thought block, everything happened in the exam, and I scored a rank of 2000 in May INI.
Hmm.
So like, which was definitely not my rank. I knew ki I messed up very bad. So then within till the NEET, I focused less on knowledge and more on the temperament of giving the exam, which is more important. Like knowledge, everyone has definitely. Matlab, some questions these are not so high-fi. Everything is in your notes.
Correct.
Everyone knows the knowledge, but at that time, what is your temperament? How much silly mistakes you make? That matters the most. So I used
Exam day
like I
mindset
was
also matters so much. Like you are saying that in May INI-CET with the same notes and knowledge because you had a certain pressure. And does that create pressure? Like I would want to know from a student's perspective that when you give grand tests and when you're doing very well and students around you, you're in the eyes of everyone and everyone knows that you're a bright student.
definitely.
Does that create an add-on to the pre-existing pressure?
Definitely it creates, ma'am. It depends on the person mainly. Like I am more of an anxious person type, so it created a pressure on me. Someone like other person usually take it as a bonus. Ki, matlab, they take it as a praise and they add on ki, I can do, I
Those are
can do.
very few number
Someone
of people. Most of us would get pressurized by that.
exactly. So I'll say ki work in silence. Don't let anyone know how you're working, what are you like doing right now. Work in silence. Have two or three friends who will help you move on.
True.
So, but like I'll say ki focus more on the exam temperament. Knowledge everyone has, and these days the everything is in your notes. Focus like you should give GTs from 9 to 12 only in the morning on Sundays, preferably, because that's when the exam happens.
Yes.
Usually, what happens is someone is like in a habit to study at late night. So like they are in a sleepy mode in the morning. So even in the actual exam day, they are not able to perform very well because नींद आ रही होती है.
Hmm.
So I will say ki give exam on Sundays from 9 to 12 only with a single water bottle with you, because that's what they give you in the exam. That's it. Nothing else, no phone, no iPad, nothing. Only the device in which you are giving the GT, that's it. So that
Right.
will help you simulate the actual exam settings. And
Perfect, perfect advice. True. One more thing, Manav, I would want to know that the recently, because as you said, you wanted to peak very close to the exam, you wanted your peak score to be achieved. So very close to the exam, there was a champions exam conducted by PrepLadder. Did you give that? Because a lot of students came back to me saying it was
my
tougher,
rank
and
was
how did that
17.
stimulate?
My rank was 17 in that exam.
Oh, so that's
In
pretty close to what you finally got in the INI-CET. That's great. Also, I would want to know more about what you want to do ahead, but I would first want you to give advice to students who have not been able to clear this NEET and this INI-CET and are now targeting NEET 2025. If God forbid you would have been in that situation, what is the advice that you would want to give to students?
uh,
What should their strategy be like?
First of all, like basically, I want them to like look back and see what went wrong. Like whether it's the knowledge, whether it's the exam temperament, or whether those are some subjects which you didn't do very well. So first, look at those. Like first of all, you have to gather yourself. It happens, definitely happens. After May I was like super dead for 4 or 5 days. I wasn't not able to do anything. But at the end, करना तो है ही, कोई option नहीं है. घुस गए हो तो करना तो है ही. So look back at at what went wrong. Do main notes again. If NEET is like do initially NEET is very far right now. And I don't think before March it will happen. Do main notes again. Take 2 3 months. You'll definitely do main notes quicker than the before because you have read them before. Do
Correct.
main notes again, but this time give GTs regularly. GTs
Hmm.
matter a lot. Do MCQs daily, 50 to 100 MCQs daily. Even if you're not studying, if you have taken a day off, at least do MCQs daily. It will hardly take 40 45 minutes. That's it. And analyze them. And also after giving a GT, it's not like he kharab score aaya that you will leave that GT alone. You will leave it. Please analyze it and see what went wrong. See the videos again. If you're getting a particular subject wrong every time, see and for INI particularly, practice PYQs more, PYQ topics more, because that's what important and that's where LRR helped me a lot. And also in the last 1 month of time, don't go back to your main notes again. Please do revision notes. That's it. Most of the topics are covered in the revision notes. Still remember May INI. In a revision note, there was a question that strongyloides practices parthenogenesis. Like
Yes,
मेन
that
नोट्स में
was
मेरे से वो मिस हो गया था, बट आई सॉ इट इन योर रिवीजन नोट्स एंड देन आई गॉट इट करेक्ट. मेन नोट्स में मुझसे मिस हो गया था, बट इन रिवीजन नोट देयर आर ओनली इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स एंड दे आर हाइलाइटेड पॉइंट्स. डू रिवीजन नोट्स. That's it. And
so
practice
revision
GTs
notes
every
actually
2 weeks.
happen to be a filtered concentrate of the main notes only, but obviously
Exactly.
we've highlighted everything in such a manner that if you
Exactly.
skipped it, like you said, you end up focusing on it. And also one more thing, like you've been emphasizing on grant tests, for a student appearing for NEET 25, what should be the frequency? Once in how many days or weeks?
Every 2 weeks is fine. Every 2 weeks is fine. Initially, every 2 weeks
Right.
is fine. Read subjects within those 2 weeks. And at the end of exam, you can give it weekly also. Then champions exam comes, you can prepare for that only. Like PrepLadder also has various gifts for that champion exam also. So like you can prepare for that only. At the end, 1 or 2 months, you can give it weekly. Initially, when you have to study more, when you have to like improve your theory more, you can give it twice weekly. But before 14 days of exam, I'll like 7 or 8 days before the exam, don't give any GT because it can either increase your confidence or decrease your confidence. Like so,
So
GT
what
is
I've
better for
gathered from this conversation, Dr. Manav, is that you've gone in a very simple strategy, that is main videos followed by rapid revision, followed by LRR. You've done your previous year
exactly like
questions, you've supplemented
yeah.
it with topics. I mean, it's one of the simplest strategies, but the simple works wonders. That is what everyone tries to go
Yeah, I
for,
like to
out of
say
the
ki,
box
like
strategies, but you
focus.
have to keep it simple, right?
Exactly. Like always focus on one source only, whatever source you are following. Please don't change the source. I did this mistake once and I failed miserably. Don't change your source. सब कुछ notes में है. Please read your notes and please don't go for like various useless things which I ask sometimes. If you will do your main notes, you will definitely score above 170. Definitely.
Great.
Everything is in the main notes and most of the things are in the rapid revision.
So have you shortlisted what branch to go ahead with, or is that thought process still ongoing?
Definitely not surgical. In medicine or radio, I'll decide.
Okay, that's nice. So either ways, we see a budding doctor who's a bright mind, and whether you go in for medicine or radio, we know you're going to do wonders. This is your day. This is your moment. So before we end this interview, I would say anyone whom you want to thank, family, friends, teachers, over to you. The stage is all yours.
Ma'am, basically, I'd like to thank my parents first because they only forced me to give the exam. Otherwise, I would not have been
Correct.
here right now with this rank, definitely. And also all the teachers of the prep ladder. Like, I cannot pinpoint anyone because all of those are like very amazing. So, like you don't only teach subjects, you motivate us throughout. You like various teachers also have Telegram channels like your channel. I've followed since I don't know when, and you post daily quizzes for micro and pathology, which is actually very helpful. So each and every teacher of prep ladder, my parents are like,
Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, and a special thank you from my side to your parents for motivating you to
thank you
give
so
this
much.
exam. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had such a bright student sitting in front of us. And I think
Thank you
parents'
so much.
advice is always golden, and we might not understand the importance of it in that moment,
Definitely.
but in the future, we always look back and we know they've given us the best advice possible. So, heartiest congratulations to them as
Thank you
well,
so much.
and all the very best, Dr. Manav. And we are looking forward to seeing a budding physician or a radiologist. That time will tell. But for the time being, enjoy the day, enjoy the moment,
Thank you
and
so
all
much.
the very
Thank
best
you.
for the future. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for
much.
sharing time with us.